is what is more concerning as the Niners head to the playoffs, the run D, the offensive line, or special teams / kicker? That's interesting. That was actually one of the topics I wanted to get to, which is I phrased it as what is the Niners' biggest issue entering the playoffs? I have O-line, run D, rustiness, interceptions, and Purdy's inexperience. I didn't even factor in special teams or kicker. I guess I could have thrown that in there. But if you went with mine instead of his, because I got a few more here, what would you say is the biggest issue for the Niners? Their O-line, the fact that they won't have played in 3 weeks, the interceptions that they've thrown, the run defense, or Purdy's inexperience, despite the fact he's already played two playoff games and change, we'll call it.
God, on the surface, I want to say the run defense, only from the standpoint of more on the missed tackle aspect, not necessarily run defense, but just once you've got a player in front of you actually making the tackle. This team has more missed tackles than it had all of last year, including the playoffs, by I think about 15. And this is coming off of 2 weeks where they only missed 9 tackles. So missed tackles for me is a concern, which kind of parlays into the run defense. But I also think that there's an aspect of that is remedied with the 49ers getting a rest and getting the bye week. So yeah. I got to be honest, I'm not too concerned about any of them. Even the rust thing where, okay, maybe you're sitting too long. That could be a big deal. Yeah, but who are you going to play?
Steve Young believes it's an issue. Did you see that?
I don't necessarily disagree with him. I actually probably tend to agree. My preference was having the players play a half. Just play the first half, stay in sync, stay in rhythm. But then I thought about it. I was like, okay, well, I mean, who's really going to give them problems in round 2? Maybe the Rams, I guess, if that's the team. But even them, I mean, are you that concerned about it? I just don't think that there's a reason to be concerned for the 49ers. I really don't. This thing should be a cakewalk in the NFC. Now, once you get to the Super Bowl, I think you're playing a for real team, no matter who comes out over there. But the NFC is just, if I wasn't a Niner fan, I wouldn't be that excited if I was one of these other teams. I wouldn't think my team has a chance because the 49ers exist. So that's just me.
You know, it's funny. Steve Young brought up the whole rest versus rust factor. And he's not, Brock will not have played in roughly 3 weeks by the time they play this game, the divisional round. I looked at, his, you look at Purdy and you say, well, yeah, okay, there's that. He was asked about it today. I'm going to share the screen and play this for you. This is Purdy earlier today talking a little bit about this factor. And let's see what he has to say. Then we can talk a little bit about it. Let's see.
For 3 weeks, and if so, how do you kind of try to stay as much in rhythm as possible?
Yeah, I mean that's something that I brought up to Kyle, and then he brought up some really good points just in terms of the preseason, not getting a whole lot of reps and snaps, and then going into Pittsburgh and playing well enough to win. And same with the bye week, coming back and having a good performance against Jacksonville. So I think I've done it, this year in terms of having some rest and then coming in and playing. And so that's something that's feels good to go back and remind myself about. And not only that, I'm going to be practicing against really good defense, obviously our guys, for the next couple of weeks too. So and it's not like I'm going to be sitting on the couch for the next couple of weeks doing absolutely nothing. We're going to be out here still getting good reps against our defense, working on the little things I need to work on, my footwork, my reads at practice, and whoever we end up playing in our first round, we'll be ready for it. So.
Between the lines there, did you just at least mildly lobby to play a little something?
It was just part of our conversation, just being real with all the situations and scenarios with this week and playing and stuff. So that's something that we brought up and made the decision after that. So
what do you think, Jesse? I mean, the way I look at it is that, okay, Brock Purdy in college played no more than 13 games, I think. And he's already played 16 games he's gonna, and then if you add in the preseason games, he's played 18 games. And if they go to the Super Bowl, he will have played 21 games. And I just think that that's a lot of games. I mean, he's the most passing attempts he's ever had in a season is like 475. He's already at like 460 right now. And I liked the Brock Purdy that I saw in Jacksonville as far as his arm strength. I think maybe taking your foot off the gas pedal a little bit with Brock maybe gives him a little bit of juice. To me, the best arm strength throw he made all year was the ball in the third quarter against Jacksonville, where he faked it, he pumped it to Ayuk, brought it back, and then without being able to step into it, he just kind of threw it to Kittle, and he led him down the field on the touchdown where Kittle beat Devin Lloyd. That was a great arm strength throw. That was after the bye week. I don't know if the guy didn't look good against Jacksonville and hadn't looked good against Pittsburgh, and also if he were an older player who's played a bunch of games. I do understand what Steve Young's saying, because Steve Young understands rest versus rust, and God knows he knows a lot about pro football. I wouldn't question his knowledge, but I think it's a case-by-case basis. I guess for me, it's about what can you live with. I can live with, hey, man, Brock was rusty in the first two series over he played in week 18 against the Rams and he sprained an ankle and he lost his escapability, or he got hurt and he was not available and it's Sam Darnold time. I mean, I don't want to take a chance on that. Nothing against Sam, but I just think that the numbers in Vegas, Jesse, would drop precipitously on the Niners if they lost Brock Purdy. So I like the idea of being better safe than sorry and sitting him out. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I'm fine either way. Like I said, for me, I wanted to play the players that didn't have an injury designation a half to keep them going. That being said, if the question is, are you worried about Brock coming off of essentially 3 weeks of not playing football? No. And all you have to do is point back to the beginning of the season when one thing that we didn't know was, what would he be ready for week one? What was that going to look like? And quite frankly, you're talking about a player who in his first real offseason, because last year as a rookie, your offseason is spent prepping for the draft. That's not a real offseason. This was his first real offseason. This was his chance to get better. And you can look at it and say, well, I mean, he's not going to have that. What's it going to look like week one? And how long does it take him to get going? Well, it turns out week one, the 49ers offense was humming. So if they can do that and he can do that, why can't you do it off of a few weeks rest when you have played all season? Now, I would argue that his best ball came after the bye week. So technically it took him a while to ramp up, but it's not like he was playing bad football to start the season by any means. So, the way that I look at it is case by case. Kyle Shanahan, you have to trust that he and the coaching staff know best. They're choosing to do this for a reason. I'm fine with it.